Hello, good afternoon class. You're on to MAMU with Jarvis and it's our grade 9 experience. Today we'll be looking at geometry. And then we'll focus on an aspect of geometry that borders around measuration. To kickstart this class, let's quickly look at the aspects or relevant aspects of geometry. So aspects of geometry. It's important that you are able to identify the aspects of geometry. Number one, we have what is called formal geometry. You have what is called measuration. Yet another, we have what is called trigonometry. And finally, we have what is called constructions. Okay, these are the four major areas we look at or we consider when we talk about geometry. For the purpose of our class today, we will be focusing on an aspect called measuration. Measuration, from the word measurement. For plane shapes, we essentially measure three or four things. We measure length, we measure perimeter, or rather for shapes generally, we measure length, we measure perimeter, we measure area, and we measure what? Volume. So for shapes generally, we measure one, length, two, perimeter, three, area, and four, volume. So these are the four major measurements we take into consideration when we talk about shapes. It's important for you to remember that irrespective of the shape we're considering, when we talk about length, in this context, length covers things like length, breadth, and height. So when I talk about length here, I could be talking about breadth, I could be talking about height, and I mean one and the same thing. So you discover too that while considering measuration, we are concerned with these aspects. Area. And with this introduction, we'll come into the work proper of today. Area of plane shapes. To keep it very simple, when we talk about plane shapes, we are talking of any shape that is flat, that we can appreciate in terms of its length and its breadth. For instance, a book. The face I'm seeing is the area. This part I'm seeing is the area. So I'm going to appreciate this by looking at the length and then the breadth, and that will give us the area. When we talk about plane shapes also, we also want to consider the different types of plane shapes we can have. And the simplest idea or concept to explain this is to consider what is called a polygon. Polygon gives you an idea of different types of shapes we can have and how we can obtain area or perimeters as it were for them. As a side note, anytime we talk about plane shapes, there are two major types of measurements we can take. We can either talk about them in terms of perimeter, which has to do with the distance around them, or we can look at them in terms of what we call area, the surface they are covering. So, plane shapes, we look at one, polygon, we look at another called circles, and the last, we look at what is called composites. where we have two or more plane shapes coming together. Polygons, circles, and composite shapes. You can have aspects of this combined with aspects of this to give you your composite shape. To start, we'll go with polygon. The first area we're going to consider when we talk about polygons will be what I call the triangle. A triangle is a polygon with at least how many sides? 3 sides. A triangle is a polygon with at least how many sides? 3 sides. So we're going to draw that on the board. And as a standard practice in my class, you are not allowed to draw with your biro. We draw with our pencil and our ruler. So please get that ready and let's go. So this is a triangle. This is a triangle. Now, there is something here that we need to locate. We call that the height. And this part that is resting on the ground, we call that the base. So, in looking at a triangle, and consider a triangle, the base is considered as what? B. And the height is considered as what? H. As a standard practice, whenever you see H, H stands for what? Perpendicular height. So, the area of a triangle, now this is one triangle you can have. Let me draw another triangle that you can have. You can have something like this also. In this setup, the height will be what I can get from the apex down. Notice that I'm just putting the 90 degrees there. It's so important you do that. And this will be the height H. And the base will now be from here to here. Here the base will be from here to here. So that is the diagram showing to us the setup of the heights and the base. So I will give you some time to draw that and then we'll go ahead to work out formula that can help us handle this. I can call this A, I can call this C. I can call this A, I can call this C. Additional labeling, and I can go ahead yet still to draw another type. I'm going to draw one more type because sometimes in exams you might be given this and you're given this angle. Let's call it theta. I am told to find the area of the triangle. So for this one, all you need to do is to say that the area of a triangle, whether you're considering this or this, will be what? Half the base times the height. Half the base times the height, which will be what? Half E times H. And that will take care of that one. Half the base times this height. Well, let's look at this one. Because I want you to remember that we can also look for the area of this. Now, the area of a triangle, whenever you have, now look at this. This is an angle. If you have an angle between two sides, anytime you have the angle given, and you have two sides, given like this, we can also find the area of that triangle. We simply say this will be what? Half A C, or let's break it down a little, half times A. We're drawing knowledge from our algebra now. Half times A times C times sine theta. This sin theta I've written here is teasing something to come soon. So I want to explain this in depth. But when I get to treating trigonometry, which is this one here, I will explain what this one is. But I really need you to memorize this for now. I know that there's a formula that exists like this. Anytime you're given a triangle, and you're given this side and this side, and there's an angle in between it, you can use this. So this will be what? Half AC sine theta. So you can use this formula or you can use this. There's some other formulas we'll consider, but some other formula we'll consider. But for now, I will stick to just these two. There's one we'll call Hero's formula. We'll treat that also. But for now, let's just stick to this one and this one. So I'll give you some time to copy and then we'll go into solving problems. Okay, we'll try to solve the problem now. This is one question. This is yet another question. You see that this question is a mirror of this one, and this one is a mirror of this one. And from my little experience in handling grade 9 maths and preparing students for NECO examination, BECE, I discovered that they like setting this one. So we're going to try to solve this and this. And then I will trust that anywhere you see questions like this, you'll be able to handle them. So let's give it a try. So we'll go to A. Now, first of all, what is your breadth? Your breadth is 14. Your height is this. Not this. Not this. Your height is this. So what is the area? The area of triangle, that's a triangle, will be equal to half times 14 times 12. 2 will cancel 12 and be left with 6. And I can always advise you, you can go somewhere and check 14 times 6, and that will give me 84. So I've done that calculation, and that will be 84. It's in centimeters, and that will be centimeter squared. Pause. Now, there's a very important idea I need to pass here now. When we treat measuration, it's important you state your units correctly. For checkpoints and Cambridge exams, they don't bother so much about units. But if you're going to write a lot of our Nigerian exams, you really must take into consideration or keep in mind units. Now, the area is 84 centimeters squared. The question a number of us will be asking is, how is it 84 centimeters squared? And I will explain. If the area is length times breadth, what is this one? Centimeters. What is this one? Centimeters. Centimeters times centimeters will give you what? Centimeter squared. Remember now, we are playing with our knowledge of what? Indices. Remember that we said that an index, I'm going to use here, an index gives us an idea of how many times a number or a letter or an unknown is being what? Multiplied. So if I say A times A, it will give you what? A index 2. That's the same idea I'm applying for units. So if I say Cm times Cm, it will be what? Cm squared. Is that clear? So you begin to understand that by the time we go far in solving maths, breaking into algebra, geometry, and arithmetic, you begin to see how each aspect behaves. And if you're going to bring them together, you get to understand how you can now bring them together properly. So if you're going to forget anything, remember I just teased an important idea. Cm times Cm will give you what? Cm squared. So whatever you have meter times meter, it will be what? Meter squared. Because you have done indices in your grade 8. It's a connection. It's a connection. If you see academic work in connection, you will do well. That's it. Okay, so we come to this part. Here, the base. What is the base? The base is not all of this. The base is from here to here. and that is 6. That's what they expect you to be able to decode in this kind of exam. So you must know that the base is not this plus this, but simply what? 6 meters. What is the height? The height is this one, which is the same thing as what we had here. So the height is equal to 9 meters. What then is the area? So the area of triangle will be equal to half times 6 times 9. Now, let's start correcting some impression from now. The NECO BECE exam rely a lot in your ability to be quick and correct. You have to be quick and correct. The average time to solve any question there is 1 minute and 20 seconds. So sometimes you might know the question, but if you are not quick, you will be able to solve it. So essentially what I do in grade 9 is to show you methods and techniques that will help you solve quickly. So I do not expect you to begin to multiply 6 by 9. No, it's wrong. I expect you to identify what you were taught earlier, the concept of factors. This is one topic, this is one concept you mustn't play with. So with that, I will cancel 2, and that 2 will affect this 3. I will have 3 times 9, which will give you what? 27 meters squared. So that's what the solution to that problem will